A series of recent developments highlighting ongoing challenges and progress in addressing racism and advancing Indigenous leadership across institutions in Australia. In the Northern Territory, the government has scrapped a long-term promised independent review into racism within the NT Police, redirecting funds to legal aid and instead backing an internal anti-racism strategy, prompting strong backlash from Aboriginal leaders amid recent deaths in custody. At the University of Melbourne, a leaked email from a law academic mocking Indigenous identity and cultural practices has ignited controversy and renewed calls for cultural safety, following resignations of Indigenous staff who described the environment as hostile. Meanwhile, the launch of the first Indigenous-led research strategy for Kakadu National Park marks a significant step in empowering traditional owners to guide environmental research and protection. Complementing these efforts, a free screening of Winhangana by Whadjuk artist Jazz Money will explore how archives shape First Nations histories, aligning with broader calls for truth-telling and cultural legacy. More of that later. Kaya, I'm Leanne Djilandi Dolby, and this is the National Indigenous Times Daily News Bulletin for the 17th of June, 2025. A long-promised independent review into racism within the Northern Territory Police Force has been cancelled, with the $300,000 funding redirecting to the Legal Aid NT to help address a court backlog. Attorney General Marie-Claire Boothby confirmed the decision during budget estimates, citing the urgent need for legal representation due to service gaps last year. The review was a key commitment under the 2021 Aboriginal Justice Agreement and reinforced during the coronial inquest into the police shooting of Kumanjai Walker, which called for all government agencies to undergo scrutiny. Instead of an independent review, Boothby pointed to an internal anti-racism strategy being developed by Leanne Little, a respected Arundel woman and former police officer. However, critics including Labor MLC Chancey Peach of police reviewing themselves. The decision has sparked backlash in the context of two recent Aboriginal deaths in custody, those of Walpiri man Kumanjai White and Wadi Elder Tien. The NT government and police have resisted calls for an independent investigation, further eroding community trust. Racism within the NTPF has been an ongoing concern, with disturbing evidence heard during the Walker inquest. Though a 2024 anti-corruption investigation found no systemic racism since 2015, this has been disputed by Indigenous officers and legal advocates. The scrapping of the independent review is seen by many as a step backward in accountability and justice for Aboriginal communities in the NT. A leaked email from the University of Melbourne law academic Eric Drieshmaker has sparked outrage after he described a cultural safety review at Melbourne Law School as an ideological re-education camp and mocked Indigenous identity and practices. The email, sent in 2023, surfaced publicly last week and contained racially charged language, dismissing acknowledgements of country and mocking the concept of Indigenous law. The review was initiated following the resignation of several Indigenous staff, including Dr. Eddie Kubelo, a Larrakia, Whadjuk and Central Arundel man who called the law school the most culturally unsafe place he had worked. Dr. Kubelo and other academics highlighted a toxic culture within MLS, marked by racism and the resistance to accountability. Drieshmaker's email also ridiculed the university's reconciliation efforts, questioning the legitimacy of Indigenous claims and drawing offensive comparisons to blood purity ideologies. Critics say his comments exemplify the very cultural issues the review sought to address. The University of Melbourne previously released a book acknowledging its colonial past and ties to scientific racism. Indigenous academics continue to call for meaningful action and cultural change within the institution. A free screening of Winhangana, the debut feature film by Whadjuk artist Jazz Money, will be held in North Sydney on Thursday, the 26th of June, as a part of the 2025 Guy Murrungle Festival. The poetic and political film, commissioned by the National Film and Sound Archive, reflects on how archives shape First Nations histories and present-day understanding. The screening will be followed by a discussion by Whadjuk writer Nathan Mudgee Sentence. Exploring the film's themes and cultural context, the event supports this year's festival theme, Legacies for Future Generations, and highlights the enduring strength and knowledge of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. The first Indigenous-led research strategy for Kakadu National Park has been launched, setting research priorities for the next decade and promoting stronger collaboration between the Binyinj, Mungai traditional owners and the research community. Developed by Traditional Owners Parks Australia, the National Environmental Science Program and UWA, the strategy focuses on protecting Kakadu's environment and culture. It aims to ensure Indigenous custodians guide research on their land while providing training and employment opportunities. The strategy responds to growing threats such as invasive species and climate change by combining traditional knowledge with scientific research. Leaders and officials emphasised its importance for safeguarding Kakadu's unique biodiversity and cultural heritage for future generations. And that's today's Daily News Roundup from the National Indigenous Times. For more news, head to nit.com.au and sign up for our free newsletter.